All right, what's going on, everybody? Good morning. I'm gonna bang out a quick one, real quick, before I have to get the day started. But obviously, I'm not the first person to talk about this or bring this up. I was watching a video from Ring IQ, and he mentioned about is Mayweather broke? Is he running out of money because of what Jake Paul had tweeted out as one of his goals to buy Mayweather Promotions, indicating that he believes that Mayweather Promotions and Floyd Mayweather are going broke or having money issues or whatever. And we could sit here and analyze this situation. And to me, and I know even Coach Malachi has mentioned this before, that he believes that Al Heyman is the guy pulling the strings over at Mayweather Promotions. And I kind of agree with that statement. And I also acknowledge that other people have said that too. So, once again, I'm not the first to talk about this, but what I want to do is kind of add to the points that others have made and give my opinion and put my little spin on what I think and I suspect. And I use the words think and suspect. I don't know factually. Then people can say, well, B, why are you even talking about it if you don't know factually? Because again, behavior is proof. That's something that I've always said. Behavior is proof. And there is such a thing as circumstantial evidence, right? Floyd Mayweather says things all the time, and we all contradict ourselves at certain points. But to me, Floyd constantly contradicts himself, and he's constantly really double talking a lot, right? Says, oh, we don't want to make any other promoters rich. Why should we help other promoters or whatever? But if you look at all of his fights in history, I don't even think you could find a big fight that he's promoted exclusively himself. He's always co-promoted a fight, whether it be with Oscar De La Hoya, whether it be with Richard Schaefer, whether it be with Tom Brown. Even now, it seems as though he always has to have help, or his company always has to have help from somebody else. They can't promote a show on their own. So if Mayweather Promotions is the strength and they're the future, past and present, what I like he likes to say of boxing, Floyd is a great exaggerator. He's always exaggerating things, always saying things that seem to be sensationalized, right? If he makes 200 million for a fight, he's going to tell you that he made 400 million. And once again, behavior is proof. So sometimes and very often when someone is weak or in a weakened position or not in a position of strength, they go out of their way to try to portray that they are in a position of strength. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, Floyd's always trying to say, well, I'm the face of boxing. Constantly says I'm my own boss. And to be honest with you, very few people in this world can really say that they're their own boss, right? Because you always have to have a partnership somehow, some way with somebody, right? Promoters have to deal with networks, right? Fighters, more often than not, have to deal with promoters, right? So there's always a chain, a food chain, so to speak, right? So no, all these guys, especially a lot of these PBC guys like the Charlos and you know guys over at the PBC, always love to say how I'm my own boss, I'm running the show, but in one sentence they say that, and in another sentence they say, well, talk to Al Heyman. Well, it's up to Al Heyman. It's up to my team, right? And what's the first thing they say out of their mouth every time they win? Thank you, Al Heyman. Well, what are you thanking Al Heyman for? Like, you're the one that went out there and fought the fight. The other one taking the punches, not Al Haymon. Of course, Al Haymon's the guy that brokered that TV deal for you. But Al Haymon doesn't have a TV deal if he doesn't have fighters. So it works hand in hand. So why is Al Haymon thanking you? When have we ever seen Al Haymon come out on camera and thank his fighters? Right? We haven't. So getting back to this Floyd Mayweather thing, let's pull it back in here. He also said at one point in time in his career, when he's asked, why don't you have any major endorsements? Oh, well, I'm my own brand. Why would I have to make another company rich? Always saying that he doesn't need anybody, right? But his behavior, like I said, behavior is proof, right? Oh, I'm my own boss. We're the past, present, and future of boxing. For years, tried to diminish Oscar De La Hoya and talk shit about Oscar De La Hoya. But yet, you trash this guy. He's probably one of your least favorite people in this world. I could say that that's one of I would suspect because of the way he talks about De La Hoya, that he dislikes De La Hoya probably more than most people that he interacts with. That's one of his least favorite people in the world, I should say, Oscar De La Hoya. But yet you did business with this guy, right? And everyone talks about, oh well, Floyd Mayweather had that Showtime deal. That was, he did that deal with Showtime. No, Al Haymon did that deal with Showtime. And not only that, right? Not only that, in 5 of those 6 Showtime fights, guess who co-promoted them? The guy that he dislikes and criticizes and trashes more than anyone I've ever heard in boxing. I never heard anyone trash De La Hoya. Probably Dana White's the only other guy that trashes De La Hoya more than Floyd Mayweather. But yet you did business with this guy 5 times. He owns the rights to your fights. 5 of those 6 fights are on DAZN right now because De La Hoya has that deal with DAZN, and he gave them the rights to your fights. You don't even have the rights to your fights, right? You don't even have the rights to your fights. So that's the thing. Like, who's really in the position of power here, right? Who's really in the position of power? So getting back to what I said about, Floyd Mayweather saying that, why would I make another company rich? Ring IQ on his video made some great points. He was like, you're endorsing a window company in Las Vegas, some small company in Las Vegas, with all due respect, and then you're endorsing this gun that shoots out gel. So you don't want to do deals with Nike and Adidas and Under Armour and all these deals like other people have, right? Like Anthony Joshua and other fighters and Canelo Alvarez, right? Problem is, no one wanted to touch you. So that you tried to make it sound like you didn't want to deal with them. No, they didn't want to deal with you. That was the reality of the situation, right? So once again, he tries to say, we're not going to make other promoters rich, works with other promoters. Oh, well, I don't want to make other companies rich, so I'm my own brand. I don't need endorsements. I make enough money doing this. And then Ring IQ was talking about how he's going to doing exhibitions again. Once again, I've said this, and Ring IQ said this, and other people have said this. If you have made these smart investments, as you say, like Bernard Hopkins, he invested a lot of his money in real estate. He owns a lot of property, and he works with Golden Boy now, whatever. You don't see Bernard Hopkins doing exhibitions. You don't see George Foreman doing exhibitions, right? You don't see. I mean, Mike Tyson has done exhibitions. Yeah, it's fine. He did one with Roy Jones, but Mike Tyson's never bragged. I mean, he's got the other deals he's been doing, right? He's highly publicized deals, right? He's got I think his marijuana business going, whatever. He did so, but Mike Tyson never comes out and says things like, "Oh, I made a lot of smart." He never brags about his money. He never brags about how smart he is. There's this kid that at work, right? And one time, we were at a meeting, and the person that was in charge of the meeting, the host of the meeting, kept saying, "You can trust me. You can trust me. You can trust me. So after the meeting, my friend comes over to me, or my coworker, kind of my friend too. I could classify him as a friend. He's a good guy. He comes up to me and says, you know, when someone keeps telling me to trust them and has to repeat it over and over again, I don't trust them. Why would they have to keep saying it? So if Mayweather always constantly in interviews, well, I've made smart investments. I've made smart investments. I've made smart investments. I've made smart investments. What are they? What are they? What, the strip club? That's a smart investment. What, the car collection? That's a smart investment. Buying an $18 million watch? That's a smart investment. Like Mike Tyson's got the marijuana business going. Bernard Hopkins got the real estate, right? Regis Prograis was talking about how he's buying property, right? Canelo Alvarez owns gas stations in Mexico, right? And this guy got a fucking strip club. He's doing window commercials, and he's fighting guys. He's fighting 120-pound Japanese guys over in Japan somewhere, right? And now he's going to go to Dubai, and he's going to be doing more exhibitions. These are clown shows. I mean, he can do whatever he wants, but it's embarrassing. Like the Jake Paul fight, excuse me, the Logan Paul fight was embarrassing. Like he legitimately lost in that 8-round fight. He lost 3 of those rounds. Like if you scored that fight, you could even argue Jake Paul won that. Excuse me, Jake Paul. I keep saying Jake Paul. You can even argue Logan Paul won that fight, right? So if this is such a powerful promotional company, right, then why don't they have any exclusive deals with a network? Bob Arum, Top Rank, exclusive deal with ESPN. Eddie Hearns had deals with Sky. He has a deal with DAZN right now. Golden Boys had deals with HBO, Showtime. Now they got to deal with DAZN. What major network deal does Floyd Mayweather and Mayweather Promotions have? None. So how could you be in a position of power, a position of strength, if Al Haymon is the guy who's brokering all the deals? Well, you could, he's the manager, he's the advisor. That's fine. Canelo Alvarez has deals, he has advisors, right? He has deals, he has advisors, but he has his own promotional company too, right? He has his own promotional company too, and he's actually working out a deal and has worked out a deal with Eddie Hearn and worked out a deal with DAZN where the fights that he promotes over in Mexico, they're going to be showcased on DAZN, right? They're going to be showcased on DAZN. So Mayweather's been, his promotional company, it's been around for a while. I think it's been around since 2006 or 7-ish, right? So they've been in the game for a minute now, right? They've been in the game for about 15 years. And they still have not had an exclusive television deal or network deal or broadcast deal with anybody. It's always, they've always had to go through Al Haymon. Al Haymon's always been the guy. So all these Mayweather Promotion shows are basically PBC shows. They're not actual Mayweather shows. They're PBC shows, right? They're all PBC shows. That's why Tom Brown is always attached to these, because Tom Brown is basically an employee or a business partner of Al Haymon. He's the token promoter for Al Haymon, right? So that's why in all these events, all Tank's fights, they're co-promoted by who? They're co-promoted by Tom Brown, who's basically an employee, right? He's a quasi-employee of Al Haymon. So I'm my own boss. No, you're not. Al Haymon's your boss, because he's the one that has the money. He's the one that's paying you. and it's constantly been paying you, right? So if you're your own boss, why are you getting paid by Al Heyman, right? Why are you getting paid by Al Heyman? Ask yourself that. So again, the hypocrisy. Oh, I don't want to deal with these companies. I don't want to deal with other make other promoters rich. But meanwhile, you've been paying and working with other promoters, and so again, oh, I don't want to work with these companies, but you'll work with these window companies and these gel gun companies, but you don't want to deal with Nike and Under Armour and those types of companies, right? You would think someone of Mayweather's status and stature would have shitloads of endorsements, like Anthony Joshua. Hell, even Andre Ward had an Everlast endorsement. Nike had a Nike endorsement, but Mayweather can't get a Nike endorsement. Because Mayweather, no one wants to touch Mayweather. Mayweather is a toxic brand, bro. And you can say, well, B, why do so many people buy the pay-per-views? Why do so many people? Again, got to give him credit for that, right? But my question, my answer to that question is, it's just like people. Why does everyone stop for a car wreck? All right. I was intrigued by that Logan Paul Mayweather thing because I was intrigued by the ridiculousness of it, right? You could be getting a lot of attention, right? And you could say whatever you want. Most of the people, he's got a lot of fans. There's no question about that. But he's also got a lot of enemies too. Not enemies, but not a lot of detractors, I should say. A lot of people who dislike him. And he says, I don't care if you love me or hate me, right? As long as you're writing about me, as long as you're buying my pay-per-views, whatever. If you want to pay to see me lose, you're still putting money in my pocket. That's all well and good. But then he'll be at a press conference complaining about the criticism he gets, complaining about the dislike he gets. So if you want to put that black hat on and play the villain, you can't have it both ways, right? By these guys disliking you and talking shit about you all these years, right? People not giving you the support you feel that you deserve, whatever the case may be. According to you, they put money in your pocket. But at the end of the day, we all love money. But when he's sitting alone by himself, right? And he's thinking about his life, whatever. Gotta ask himself, how many real friends do I really have? How many people like me for me? How many people really like me? All of his relationships have dissolved over the years, right? All of his relationships, he had the 50 Cent relationship. He's not cool with him anymore. Justin Bieber used to be cool with. He got rid of him. Ray J, he was banging Ray J's girl, whatever. He's a very insecure, narcissistic person, regardless of how much money he's made. He's not an extremely intelligent guy. He's not a great businessman. He's a gifted human being. He is blessed and gifted with talent, right? But he's not a smart individual. He's just not a smart individual. The way he talks and contradicts himself and says things, and obviously you should have smart people around you and have people help you out, but nothing he's done has been innovative. What's he ever done that's been earth-shattering or groundbreaking? Of course he has those pay-per-view events, the record for the highest grossing pay-per-view events, right? But once again, who orchestrated that? Floyd Mayweather is an Al Heyman creation, right? Constantly thanking Al Heyman and his team, right? That's fine. That's great. But at the end of the day, this guy isn't who he tries to portray himself to be. He's not as smart as he tries to portray himself to be. If you have to keep telling everyone every interview, I've made smart investments, I've made smart investments, I made smart investments. Once again, what are they? What are these? What are these smart investments? That's what I want to know. What are these smart investments? That's what I want to know. The strip club, what else? What else? The car collection, what else? The jewelry, what else? The jets that I'm hearing that he doesn't even own? How much liquid does this guy have? If he's not, so many people have complained about him. You go on the internet, you can Google all this stuff. He bought a car one time, and if like a Ferrari or something, and he wasn't making his payments on the Ferrari. Well, if you're so rich, why do you have to make payments on your Ferrari? There's been people who have hired him, he's hired to do work for, and they've complained that he didn't pay them. He's had tax issues over the years. Logan Paul saying that he didn't get paid for that fight. So if he's got all this money, right, then why all these people complaining about he didn't pay them? Issues with a jeweler said that he owed them money for jewelry, right? And I guess he had to when he couldn't pay his taxes, he had to go on a payment plan or something like that, or it's all out there on the internet. So I can pull that thing up about his taxes. He always tries to, try to spin it and try to put himself in a positive light. Always tries to downplay the situation. But at the end of the day, once again, circumstantial. Yeah, see, Floyd Mayweather reportedly says he can't pay his taxes until he gets paid for the Conor McGregor fight. The taxpayer has a significant liquidity event scheduled in 60 days, which he intends to pay the balance of his 2015 tax liability outstanding. So again, that fight was in 2017. So he owed back taxes from 2015. Right? And I suspect, here it says, the money Mayweather still owes the IRS more than $20 million, and he's suing the IRS to await his Conor McGregor fight payday for more payments. Mayweather's finances aren't public, but many news sources have tallied the recent $22 million tax lien plus his still unpaid 2010 IRS debt of $7.2 million. So this guy owns like 30, still paying down $30 million in taxes. So once again, how much liquidity does this guy have? He's all cars, houses, jewelry, brags about all these assets. How much money does this guy really have if he's still doing he's probably doing exhibitions now, right? And now he's doing these cheesy commercials now. Remember he was doing this video thing where you can pay money to video chat me and ask me questions. And dude, this is all a facade, bro. I think the guy has some serious liquidity issues. And I know Ring IQ, we've talked about this on the roundtable. He's got some serious liquidity issues. So, and I'm even hearing rumors he owes Ali Haymon money. If I'm not, that's what I've heard. I can't confirm that, but I've even heard that. I heard rumors this guy owes Ali Haymon money. So you have to ask yourself: is he his own boss? If Al Heyman's the one who's paying him, right? And even when he had that 6-fight Showtime deal, why was Oscar De La Hoya promoting 5 of those fights with them? Why couldn't you just promote them yourself? Why is Tom Brown the co-promoter of all your events? Right? Hell, Jake Paul just started promoting, right? And he seems to be more in a position of power from a promotional standpoint than you are, right? Right? And he's just got in the game about hasn't even been in the game a year, and he's already promoting mega fights right now. Right now, he's already promoting mega fights right now. I mean, you got one fighter, Tank Davis. Who else you got? Who else you got? You want to talk about how great a promotional company that Mayweather Promotions is? I mean, this is just the reality of the situation, guys. Oh, Beef, you're hating. Why are you gonna? Because it's my fucking opinion, right? You can't pay your taxes. You can't pay off fucking car payments. Can't pay. People complaining that you haven't paid them. Logan Paul saying that he can get paid for the event. I mean, come on. Come on. I mean, all these people can't be lying. 50 Cent said he's broke. I'm dying to. I want to know what these fucking smart investments are. What are they? What the fuck are they? Right? I'm going to Dubai to do more exhibitions. What the fuck do you have to like? Come on, bro. Who else is doing this? You know? Who else is doing it? I think when Mike Tyson did it too, he donated a lot of it to charity, man. He did it for charity mostly. Right? Real estate. That's his investments, really? All the properties that he's shown have been his own houses. We've never seen him like does he own any multi-property units that he rents out to people? All he shows you constantly, right, is things he's bought for himself. Where's your investments? Where's your companies? Right? What have you done? Even when he's trying to promote Tank, all he talks about is himself. So what's going on? What's going on? In an interview way back, he said commercial real estate. Okay. So why isn't that sustaining his income? Why does he still have to do exhibitions? Why does he still owe $30 million in tax? Why is he still paying a $30 million tax debt down that started in 2010? So he's been in tax debt for 12 years. For 12 years, he's been in tax debt. No, I'm not disagreeing with you, Lewis. All I'm saying is, how good are these investments? How profitable are they if they can't sustain you and you have no liquidity and you're still paying a tax debt down from 2010? I'm not disputing what you're saying at all. I'm not. What I am questioning is how successful are these investments if you're still doing what you're doing. Yeah, I need to ask his accountant, Jason Shaw. Yeah, but once again, the cognitive dissonance will be out there, right? Confirmation bias will be out there. People will choose to believe what they want to believe, right? So they'll believe articles that suit their narrative, but then the articles that go against their narrative, fake news. So which one is it? It's either all fake or it's all real, right? Can't just believe these guys. The definition of a hater now in modern times on social media is you are a hater if you say something contrary to what someone else wants you to say and goes against what they believe, and they don't even believe what they say they believe, they're just displaying blind loyalty to somebody, and they're just on a team, right? So, and they'll co-sign whatever is being said by that side that they're on, right? But if you go against that, then you're just a hater, right? So everything I'm saying is false. Like he's still not paying off a tax debt from 2010, right? He couldn't even pay his taxes off in 2015 until he got paid from the McGregor fight. So this is a guy that's so rich, right? I pay my taxes every year. The IRS ain't chasing me. You know why? You want to know why? Because I live within my means, right? I live within my means. Am I rich? No. Am I comfortable? Yeah, I'm comfortable. I'm a good saver. I'm a good investor, right? I'm pretty good. I don't brag about it. I don't tell you how much money I have. I don't constantly tell you I'm this, I'm that, because it's not, it's important to me, but why should it be important to you? I don't want you to talk to me or follow me because of that. I want you to follow me and talk to me because you like what you like listening to me give my opinion on things. That's the thing. Constantly changing the subject when you're being interviewed, always turning the situation back to yourself. Guy's very insecure, very narcissistic. Got a lot of issues. For someone that's done what he's done, and has a status that he has, he's a celebrity like that, should be having all these issues. Shouldn't have to be doing window commercials for small companies in Las Vegas. Shouldn't have to be charging people money to video chat with them, right? Shouldn't have to do that. Shouldn't have to be doing exhibitions, fighting guys that are 120 pounds. That, corny. Fighting YouTubers. At least Mike Tyson fought another legendary boxer like himself, right? At least Mike Tyson fought another legendary boxer himself. This guy's fighting YouTubers. He's fighting flyweights. He's fighting. These exhibitions aren't real exhibitions to me. They're circus sideshows. Why do you care, Beeb? Why do you care, Beeb? Give him my opinion. Give him my opinion. I talk about a lot of things. Just give him my opinion on what I see. That's what being on YouTube is. Oh, you're a hater. No. Translation. I am a person who's telling you things that you don't want to hear, and the things that I'm telling you bothers you because you don't want this to be your idol's image. You don't like things like that don't put your idol and heroes in a positive light. And anything that goes against that, it shatters what you want to believe of that person. And quite frankly, it hurts you. So when you call me a hater, all you're doing is empowering me because my words can elicit a negative response from you. They can make you angry. They bother you, giving me power over you. Too much power. Giving me too much power. My words have too much power, right? If I can have that much effect over you or that much effect on you, if my words can give you or if my words can affect you that much. So, am I a hater? Guilty. By the definition of hater now on the internet, social media, you are a hater if you say something to someone that they don't want to hear, even if you have a good point or there's some validity to the things that you're saying. If it's not what somebody wants to hear and it goes against their narrative, goes against or it's critical of someone they admire and look up to and live vicariously through, then that's what the new definition in 2022. Happy New Year to everybody. That's the new definition of hater. Guilty. Beeb is a hater. He's a hater to people who don't like what he says because it goes against what they want to believe. And not even believe, because they don't even believe half the things that they say they believe. They want you to think that's what they believe because that's what they want. They want the fantasy, right? They want the fantasy, right? People want to be told things because everyone wants instant gratification. Everybody wants to feel good, right? Thank you so much. Happy birthday to you as well, Dawn. People want instant gratification. They want that dopamine release, whether it's from something that's real or fake, right? Even the Beeb's guilty of it, right? Sometimes the Beeb wants to be lied to, right? Sometimes the Beeb wants to be lied to make himself feel good. We all do at some point in our lives, right? We all do. But at some point you have to admit and you have to be able to identify when even ourselves and myself in particular, I can identify and distinguish the reality from the truth. It's called self-reflection. That's what it's called. One time when I was a manager, I was a food service manager, dietary manager for a healthcare facility. And the kid told me, yeah, I can't come to work today. I got a job interview. You know what I told the kid? I said, I don't want to know that. I don't want to know that. Why didn't you just lie to me? Tell me that you were sick. Tell me that my car broke down. I can't get to it. Like sometimes I don't want to know the truth. We all have those moments of weakness, but we have to be able to identify it. You know, at some point in time, we all want to be lied to, but we have to admit when we're being lied to, when we're living out a fantasy, when it's not real, right? When it's not real, we have to be able to identify that. And if we're constantly living a fantasy, constantly living a lie, it's like when you're with a girl and you want to role play, right? You're acting out a situation. It's fun, right? But when you're role playing, you're not really who that person is that when you're role playing. You have to be able to distinguish the fantasy from the reality, right? You have to be able to distinguish that. All right, G-Man. Happy New Year, man. Thank you for stopping by as always. I'll talk to you, brother. Yeah, so we have to be able to deal with the reality of the situation. And the reality of the situation is Mayweather Promotions is a front for Al Haymon, Haymon Boxing LLC, aka PBC. They're a front, right? Tom Brown is a quasi Al Haymon / PBC employee, right? You know, boxing's a dirty business. You can criticize promoters and people involved in the sport. Everyone's got some skeletons in their closet, right? Everyone's got some dirt that they are covering up, or no one's 100% clean in this business. Everyone's had to sell their soul to the devil at one point or another, right? But when you look at PBC, the way they do things over there, the way Al Haymon does things over there, the way Haymon Boxing does things, I don't even want to say it's unconventional. It's just questionable. So you're an advisor, but you're and a manager, but you're essentially acting to some degree as a promoter, right? There's been instances where you're paying these fighters. There's a picture of a check online, and this was used in the case against Al Haymon, where he's paying Chavez Jr. and his name, Haymon LLC, is on there, right? But you're not a promoter. What is the problem with Al Haymon? Like, why can't Al Haymon? You have to ask yourself a question. Because anyone, I'm not going to say anyone can get a promoter's license, but people who promote fights, right? They get promoter's licenses, right? You have to ask yourself this question. For what reason will Al Haymon not get a promoter's license? Why can't he just get a promoter's license like Richard Schaefer did, like Oscar De La Hoya did, like Leonard Ellaby did, like Floyd Mayweather did, right? Eddie Hearn's got a promoter's license. Bob Arum's got a promoter. Like Canelo Alvarez got a promoter's license. And Jake Paul's got a promoter's license. What is the reason that Al Haymon just can't go out and apply for a promoter's license for a specific state that he's in? Why? Why does he do business the way he does it? Why does he not show his face? People who don't show their face, to me, have something to hide. What is Al Haymon hiding? What is he hiding? Can't show his face, can't get a promoter's license, always has to facilitate. Maybe he doesn't want to get a promoter's license because if he's a promoter, he has to answer questions. He has to be at events. He has to put himself out there, be part of the show, be in the ring after the fight, be at the press conferences. Does he have a disorder, a social disorder? Right? And is he just an antisocial person? Some people have like antisocial issues. Is that the case? Is there some type of problem he has that he just can't be out in the public light? Doesn't want to interact with people. He doesn't like. For what reason can he? Will he not put himself out there? What is he hiding? I get the sense if someone doesn't want to ever be interviewed, someone doesn't ever want to put themselves on camera, someone never wants to answer questions, never wants to be. It's almost like he doesn't want to be held accountable, right? He doesn't want to be held accountable. I would explain the Ali Act, but it's not really worth the paper that it was written on because it's never ever been enforced in the sport of boxing, to my knowledge. And if it has, please tell me. But what does this guy have to hide? Explain to me the reason why he can't get a promoter's license, why he can't be interviewed, why he can't be on camera, right? But the Ali Act is basically saying that you can't be a manager and a promoter at the same time because it's a conflict of interest, right? Because you're getting paid twice as a manager and you're getting paid as a promoter as well. And you have too much power over that fighter. It's an unfair advantage that you have over that fighter because you're going to manage that fighter to benefit your promotional company if you were a promoter. And he's essentially violating the Ali Act. And in my opinion, the reason why he does what he does is because he's found a way to make more money doing it the way he's doing it. Right? As opposed to being a promoter. Right? By doing it the way he's doing it, right? He's making other people do all the legwork for him. He just sits back and lets everyone else do the work, right? Probably saving money on taxes, doing it the way he's doing it, right? So now he's an advisor, right? And by being an advisor or a manager slash advisor, he can have all these fighters under contract, right? And just say I'm managing them, right? And now these guys can go and fight under any promoter they want, basically. They don't have any long-term deals. There's no commitments. There's no long-term commitments he has with these fighters. So at any point in time, he can terminate a deal because he's not the way these contracts, I suspect, and again, this is my opinion, they're probably heavily favored towards his side, right? And he could get rid of these guys at the drop of a dime. Whereas if he was a promoter and he was to sign these guys to long-term deals or fight deals, then he would be obligated to that fighter to get them fights. So doing it the way he does it, I think it saves himself a lot of money. He's able to terminate deals with fighters, basically, because I'm the advisor. So I don't. In other words, he's not responsible for guaranteeing them fights. Whereas if he was a promoter, right, and he had them under contract as a promoter, he would have to provide fights for them, right? This way, he has no. That's why if you notice, why are all these PBC guys so inactive? Because he doesn't have to guarantee them fights because he's just their advisor. It's not my job to get you as a promoter. It's your job to get your fighter fights. Now he can just sit. He has no response. In other words, his responsibility is lessened greatly by being an advisor as opposed to being a promoter. Being a promoter is a much harder job than being an advisor. Because as an advisor, your job is to advise. Your job is to manage. As a promoter, you have to promote. And part of being a promoter is you have to get that fighter fights because you're promoting that fighter. Your job is to get him fights. If you're an advisor, your job is not to get your fighter fights. Your job is to make yourself money and try to make your fighter the most amount of money. Now, obviously, you have to get him fights to do that, but you're not under an obligation to give him fights. He's not guaranteed fights because, again, that's not the structure of the contract as a manager. When you're a manager, your job is basically, I put the deal together, right? I put the deal together. I get my cut. I try to get you the best deal possible. And by getting you the best deal possible, that increases my percentage that I receive. But under no circumstances, I am under no obligation to guarantee you fights. That's why guys over at the PBC are on the shelf for as long as they are. And that's obviously why they have so many people under contract, right? So that's why I believe he does things the way he does, because this absolves him of responsibility of having to guarantee these guys fights, right? He could just, I'm not the promoter. It's not my job to get, I'm not under any obligation to guarantee you fights. I'm just here to manage your career, how I see fit to the best that I believe it should be managed. Right? And here's the contradiction of it all, too. Oh, well, when they first came out, we're going to give you boxing free. That went out the window when the money went dry and they couldn't get the advertisement spots. That's what happened. That's what happens. So now, in my opinion, once again, how do you know, Beeb? It's my opinion. Believe they're putting on all these pay-per-views because the networks do not want to put up the guaranteed money and pay for these fights. So the guarantees are smaller, all right? That's less money being paid out by the network. And now the network is putting more of the financial burden on pay-per-view, right? So now it's up to us to determine how much these fighters are really going to get paid. And everybody wants to talk shit and criticize us. That's not smart business. Because we're helping put money in his pocket and his fighter's pocket. So the reason why they're doing so much pay-per-views is because by doing that, they get less upfront money from the network, right? The networks don't want to put up the amount of money that would be required, or not even required. They just don't want to put up a lot of money for these fights, right? They're making less of an investment in the event, and they're putting the financial burden more so on the promoter and less on themselves. So it's up to the promoter to promote the pay-per-view in order to make it generate and be as lucrative as they can through pay-per-view buys. So they're putting more of the network is taking less of the responsibility and less of the financial burden, and they're putting that on the promoter, right? That's why they're doing it. And it's harder for the promoter because they have to spend money to promote the pay-per-view. Whereas if it's on Showtime or if it's on Fox, Fox will promote the event through advertisement on the network. Now, again, they could still do that by advertising the pay-per-view and stuff. But once again, it's less of a financial burden for them, right? They're not gonna pay for that. The promoter's gonna have to pay for that. Whereas if it's going to be on the regular network, the network's going to do their own ads because obviously it's going to be beneficial for them to get subscribers, to get viewers. So they're going to pay for the advertisement if it's going to be on their network exclusively, right? But if it's on pay-per-view, guess what? The promoter has to pay for the advertisement. They have to pay Showtime, right? And then Showtime gets a percentage of that pay-per-view revenue as well. Or whoever, Fox gets a portion of that pay-per-view revenue as well. So it's less guaranteed money and that they have to put up, and they're going to get paid on the back end of the pay-per-view revenue. So the networks, I don't even think they want to do as many pay-per-views as they're doing, but they're forced to do the pay-per-views that they're doing because the networks won't put up the money that they need to put the fights on. Because the networks, as I said, are absorbing less of the financial responsibility. They've taken themselves to a lesser degree financially out of the equation. That's why we're seeing the pay-per-views. I know we're criticizing, why is this on pay-per-view? Why is that on pay-per-view? It's not by design. It's by necessity, basically. They have no choice. I don't think it's by choice. I think they're forced to put these fights on pay-per-views because they can't get the money from the network. The amount of money from the network that they need to put the event on. So they're subsidizing the revenue through pay-per-view. But then you're saying, well, how are they going to make money if the pay-per-view buys are so low? Guarantees aren't that much either. What was Tank's guarantee? Let's look at the guarantees, right? And we still don't know how much Tank. We're being told Tank's making $5 million, but once again, Mayweather, was telling people he made $300 million for Pacquiao, or $400 million for Pacquiao, whatever. So we don't know. Like, we're dealing with people that embellish constantly, right? Let's look what Tank Davis, what his guarantee was. Tank Davis guarantee for Cruz. So Cruz only got 300,000, right? That was his guarantee. I say only. It's not bad. I mean, I wouldn't mind getting it, right? So his guarantee was 300,000, and Davis got $1 million, right? So basically, that's $1.3 million. That was the guaranteed purse. So that was a $1.3 million fight. Tank was getting 60% of the pay-per-view revenue, right? And 40% pay-per-view with a potential, so 40% for Cruz. So let's try to do best. Let's spitball and do best case scenarios, because we're hearing those numbers are all over the place. Let's, for the sake of argument, just say 100,000 pay-per-view buys, right? What was that 80? What was it, $80 times 80, right? That's 8 million, right? So broadcaster's going to get, it's not 50-50 anymore. The broadcaster gets like 40%. 40%. So there's $3.2 million left, right? So times that by 60%. So then Tank gets 1.920 from the pay-per-view share, right? Plus his $1 million. So he could have got almost $3 million for the fight, right? He could have got almost $3 million for the fight. And anywhere from 2.5 to 3 million for the fight, right? And Cruz got about 600,000, right? So Tank got close to 3 million for that fight. Cruz probably got 600,000, right? And that's being generous there, right? So if he's getting a $1 million guarantee and his pay-per-views aren't doing great, but once again, Tank, you would argue, he'd be asking and he'd be negotiating for $3 million, right? So instead of the network, and then Cruz would probably ask for 500,000. So instead of the network having to pay 3.5 million for the fight, or putting up 3.5 million for the fight, now they're only putting up 1.3 million. So again, this is all about the network not wanting to give them the money, give them a large sum of money up front. The network is offsetting their expenses, basically. That's why all these fights are on pay-per-view. I think it's the network's choice to do this. And if you noticed, Fox doesn't even want to deal with they stopped putting on a great portion of their pay-per-views too. I think the last pay-per-view, Ortiz and Martin was on Fox. But even then, most of the pay-per-views are on Showtime, right? So the Showtime budget was running thin. So the amount of money that they were able to put up for these fights was significantly lessened. And that's why, once again, I hate to keep repeating myself, that's why these fights are on pay-per-view. So it wasn't by design. These aren't pay-per-view fights, but they're forced to be on pay-per-view because Showtime and even Fox even has cut back on the cards. There hasn't been that many cards this year on Fox compared to before, right? The second half of the year, Fox just stopped putting on a lot of boxing. And that's why a lot of these cards went to Showtime. That's why Canelo and Plant was on Showtime, because Fox was like, we're not paying for it. Fuck it. We just, we're not paying for it. We don't want to pay for it. Let fucking Showtime pay for it. And they did. Right? So this is why the situation is the way it is. Just the reality of the situation. Right? How do you know? I'm looking at the circumstantial evidence. Once again, Beeb always tells you behavior is proof, right? Behavior is proof, right? And, behavior to a large degree is also circumstantial evidence, right? And what is behavior actually, Beeb? Behavior is patterns, right? Behavioral patterns. If people have behavioral patterns, right, then you can pretty much forecast what they're going to do next. If every Friday you and I go out to lunch, right? And I get the same thing every day, right? And for whatever reason, I'm late. I meet you at that place every day and I'm late, right? And I text you and you say, go ahead and order my food. I'll be there. Go ahead and order ahead, right? I already know what you're going to get. Because why? Because every Friday you order the same thing, right? So what am I going to do? I'm going to order you what you've always got, because that's behavior. That's your behavioral pattern. Every day, every Friday we go out to lunch, you get the seafood platter. So what am I going to order you because you're not going to be there? I'm going to order you the seafood platter, right? Then you can say, well, Beeb, why wouldn't I just text you to tell you what I was going to order? Anyways, well, say in the morning you told me, you text me and said, we got that, we're gonna have lunch at 12 like we always do, but I'm going to be a little bit late. Maybe you forgot to text me, right? Maybe you forgot to text me like what you wanted to order. So you said, Beeb, I'm going to be like a half hour late, right? and you got tied up during the day and you never told me what you wanted. So I'm just going to get an order ahead for you because I know what you're going to get. Right? I'm just going by your behavioral patterns. Right? If I want to buy you a Christmas present, right? And I know that you like a certain brand of sneakers, right? And every time that your sneakers wear out, you get that same pair every time, right? So I want to buy you a pair of sneakers for Christmas. I know what to get you because I know your purchasing habits, right? So these guys have behavioral patterns, right? And we look at the circumstances surrounding why these guys do what they do, right? And you have to. It's not hard to pick up on things when you look at these guys and you see what they do, and we just can analyze or predict or forecast what a person is going to do next based on their behavior and their behavioral patterns. It's not hard to do, right? So that's how I formulate my opinions, and I'm sure other people formulate their opinions the same way, right? So that's just the gist of it, guys. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up. Maestro and myself are going to come back tonight at 5. We got a nice show tonight, nice topic tonight that we'll be discussing. But until next time, Beeb is out. Talk to y'all soon. Happy New Year, everybody. And we will catch up later, man. Have a good day, man. Peace out.